BMF, tap in. BMF,
Business,
BMF, tap in. BMF,
music,
tap in. BMF, tap in.
finance,
BMF, tap in. All you really need.
B,
BMF,
M,
tap in. All you
F.
really need. BMF,
The game
tap
you need
in.
to know. I am Wham. This is Business Music Finance, the show where we give you the game you need to know, intelligent topics, no drama, no gossip. Today, I have a very special guest in here to teach us something that all Americans need to know about. He needs no introduction, but he's going to get one anyway. He is educated, he is fly, he is Texas made, Texas paid, boss of heart, never seen him in some J's. Type to tell a girl, rather than argue, let's go our separate ways. But if you need me, I'm just a text away, okay? He is my good friend, someone that I get a lot of game from. Without further ado, my man AK.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
I appreciate it. So, for the people who don't know you yet, who will know you after this,
Yeah.
why don't you give the people a little 411 on who you are and what you do?
Cool. I am a tax professional. I've been doing that for about 6-7 years now. Have a background in tax finance. Have a company, me and my father. That's what we do. And that's the gist of it. That's the main day job. Part-time DJ, new adventure coming up.
Yes, sir.
DJ AK. But that's the fun hobby stuff, you know. The main stuff is making sure people's financials look straight on their tax return.
Bang, bang. Because we don't want you going to jail like Al Capone.
No.
All right.
No. We don't need anybody getting locked up like Snipes.
Like, free my man Snipes. No more Snipes out there. All right. So with that being said, in your opinion, why is a tax professional important?
The short and skinny of it is that a tax person saves you time and stress. The biggest thing that I can offer you is my expertise. I do the work so you don't have to, and that's pretty much it. Taxes can be really stressful for people, especially when it comes to things starting to get complicated when you start buying homes, when you start having kids, when you start having more assets. And so I just make that process a lot more streamlined.
Got it. And so what service do you provide over me doing my taxes myself?
So as an expert, I can take you and your financial situation, or like say for instance, if you have a business, I can take your business finances through all the issues that are related to paying your taxes, making sure you're up to date with the IRS, making sure that all of your financials and stuff like that are taken care of, whether that be referring you to an accountant, helping you with some simple accounting processes yourself, or helping you structure your business, which will benefit you later down the line as far as tax implications occur. One of the things that I try to do is help people plan ahead, so that when things come up along the way, you're not scrambling and trying to figure out, oh, what do I do now? It's better to have a plan or process. So you tell me, hey, look, this is what our plan is. We want to buy a home. We want to have more kids. We want to invest. We want to do this. And I can tell you from a tax standpoint what the best option for you. Like, my job really is to help you know certain routes to navigate when it comes to your taxes, because they can be confusing. And not to get that confused with a financial planner. That's completely different. But me and a financial planner can work hand in hand, and I can give you small little things to like help you plan financially, and then you go and see a financial planner to get the whole big scope.
And for you guys who believe taxes are important, I was reading an article about Benjamin Franklin around 1812, sent a letter to one of his French homies, and he said the only thing in life that's guaranteed is death and taxes. So this is very important, and we got AK here to break it down for us.
Because the IRS is going to get theirs.
They're going to get theirs.
And it may take them 5 years. It may take them 2 years. It may take them 1 year, but they going to come after you. A lot of people think, oh, I just won't worry about it right now, you know, but don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't be one of them.
Yeah.
All right. So, as a tax professional, what are the top 3 things people need to have when they approach you to make the process as streamlined as possible?
The first thing I say is know what you have, because if you don't know what you have, then I don't know what you have, and I can't help you unless I know. So when I say that, that means assets? Do you have 401ks? Do you have IRAs? Do you have stocks? Do you have accounts that you have money sitting in that you inherited? Or like when a death happens, did you get property? Do you have multiple properties? Are you a renter? Are you renting? Like those are the sort of things that I need to know. When it comes to, do you have children? Are you doing, do you have childcare that you're paying for? Do you have your kids in extracurricular activities? Do you have kids who are students? Are you a student? I need to know all these things because a lot of these things have a tax document attached to them. You'll hear things like Form 1099, 1098, 1099Rs. You'll hear forms like 1095A, which is a medical form that you get when you have when you get Medicare through the workplace, the government. Those are all documents that you're going to need when you file your taxes, and I need to know that so I can help make sure that we're getting everything taken care of. The last thing you want to do is have to file an amendment and pay more to a tax professional to file an amendment for you, or have to go back and pay something extra on top of what you either owed or didn't owe because you didn't have a document.
Amendment, like AM or IM?
AM. So an amendment is, hey, I filed my taxes, sent them in, boom, I either got my refund or I had to pay. Then later something comes out, and like the IRS gets a record. You'll hear people say, oh, it was on my transcript, my IRS transcript. The IRS gets a record of every formal document that is sent to them. So your employer gives you a W-2. They send you a W-2, and they send the IRS a W-2. Mm-hmm. So even if you don't have your W-2, the IRS has it, and they have the amount that you're supposed to either claim or, report. So that's what you have to look at to know what is claimable, what needs to be on your tax return, because the IRS says you have these 5 documents. We need you to show proof of these 5 documents in whatever way. A lot of times what will happen is people who rent, they'll say, all right, cool, I'm a renter. I have a rental property, but I break even on it. That's fine and dandy. But if you go through a management company, they're going to issue you a 1099. That's a 1099, which means you made income from that. Now, if you spent money, mortgage, fixing up things, HOA fees.
Cost of doing business.
Exactly. That's fine. But the IRS doesn't have information on that. They only have information on the reported income. So you have to report that income on a Schedule C or Schedule E, and then you have to basically say, I got this amount of money, but I paid this amount of money, so it should be a break even. You can't just say, oh, I break even, so I don't need to report it, because they will come after you for that.
And with that being said, I have been audited before. You do not want to get that type of letter to show how much you owe them or how much they said you make that wasn't taxed already. Thankfully, my refund was able to pay for that, but I was told once you get audited, you get put on not necessarily the naughty list, but the lookout list, and you don't want to be on that list at all.
Yeah, and the word audit usually scares people. When people hear audit, it automatically freaks people out. And audit basically is, hey, you claimed X. Now we need you to prove it. It doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's usually an error of like not reporting something or misreporting something. Sometimes it is because somebody did something wrong. But again, it's not like, hey, we're going to come for you. A lot of people think, oh, if they get audited and they don't take care of it, they're going to go to jail. The IRS is not in the business of taking people to jail unless you owe a whole lot of money for a long time.
Like Biggie said, more money, more problems.
Exactly. So the average person is not going to end up in jail over their taxes. They're just going to accrue penalties and interest and have to pay more at some point.
Are there payment plans?
There are payment plans, and that's a good thing. That comes to the other thing. We'll just jump to that. So the last thing that I was going to say, we'll just make that number 2. Don't wait. A lot of times people say, I think I'm going to owe this year. Let me just not do it. That's never the best option. Always take care of the taxes. Either get with the tax professional and figure out what the best plan is, or file your taxes and get on a payment plan, because the IRS is very willing to work with you, even if you owe, because at the end of the day, they understand people have stuff going on.
Yeah.
They understand people are struggling. You can get on a payment plan for as low as $50, $100 a month and make it really, reasonable for yourself. But you don't want to wait years and years and years because, say for instance, is you do file a backdated tax and then you owe. You not only owe that money that was originally owed, now you owe interest and penalties over the last however many years it wasn't done. And that accumulates really quickly. So you could have $1,000 bill if you just went ahead and did it now, and now you waited 5 years, and now that bill's $7,000 because of taxes and penalties.
And with inflation, your dollars don't go as far.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you get on a payment plan, start paying it off, you don't have to worry about penalties and interest like that, and it just knocks it out. You just want to be in good upstanding with the IRS. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is when you start a business, this is for people who want to start a business, even if you're thinking like, oh, this is just going to be a side hustle, this is just going to be something I do on the side, I don't really know what it's going to be. It's always good to do some research or talk to a tax professional to figure out what the best way of structuring said business is, because a little bit of pre-planning can go a long way on the back end. Mm-hmm. It's a huge, huge deal that a lot of people look over until they're like, oh, my business is growing now. I'm making $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000. And if they had planned properly, they could have set some things in place that would have let them pay less taxes than now thinking about it on the back end and trying to go back and revert and do things that way.
Foundation is very important when building a house, starting a business, starting a relationship. Foundation is very important. You talked about how employers send either a W-2 or a 1099 to the government, letting them know what you earn. I wanted to get into specifically an article that we talked about from Fortune magazine that talked about companies like Intuit and H&R Block. They are sending millions of dollars to lobbyists to lobby in Washington to make Americans have to go through them instead of the government to pay their taxes. Do you believe that is the case?
So, okay, to answer the question, yes. Companies like Intuit and H&R Block are paying lobbyists to push against this.
So they own the Washington block.
Yes, and this is the thing. A lot of times, this is my personal opinion on it. Lobbyists are there. They're not going to go away. People pay people a lot of money to push for or against a specific idea.
They're the referees.
Correct. It's just certain times those situations can be helpful or harmful. This is the thing. Right now, the federal government is working on a free electric filing tax system for all Americans. That's one thing that hasn't been done. 9 times out of 10, you either have to go and do a paper form, or you have to go to an H&R Block or file for free on some websites or whatever because they allow it if it's very, very simple. The issue with that is there's harm and there's pluses and there's minuses. Some of these programs are very intricate in the keeping up-to-date tax code. Mm-hmm. Tax code changes all the time. I have to keep up with different tax codes. Every year, one of my clients is coming to me because they heard something, and now I have to go and read up on it and make sure that, like, what I'm telling my clients is the best option for them based off of some new... Exactly. The best example of this, the years 2020 and 2021, we had a lot of changes. Why? COVID brought in so many different changes in the way that taxes were being taken, taxes were being given out, there were stimulus things that are happening, and the way the taxes were being processed. So at the beginning of that, I just had to immerse myself in that and get familiar with that. There were certain benefits for business owners that a lot of people didn't know about, and I familiarized myself with so that I could bring that to my small business clients and have them like make sure they were getting all of the tax breaks that they were getting. And I would hear from people who I got later on as clients, and they would say, oh, you know what, like my tax person at the time didn't tell me about X, Y, or Z. Is there something we can do about that? Well, if you already filed your taxes, there's nothing really I can do about that. That's why it's always good to have a knowledgeable person doing your taxes. A lot of times people don't think about, oh, I'll just do it myself and I should be fine. But when things are changing as much as they are, it's always good to just have somebody who's an expert on it. I got a shower door put in my bathroom. Could I have gone out and bought it myself and put it in and drilled holes in the wall? Sure, I could have done that. I don't know nothing about that really. That's not my area of expertise. So I paid somebody a lot of money to do it for me. And it looks amazing. And it's not leaking. And it works out great. That's the difference between paying somebody to do something and doing it yourself, you know? If you are a carpenter, of course, you're going to do it yourself. But, like, if you're not, you want to pay somebody who's an expert on it. But, yeah, that's kind of the issue with the
using those type of companies.
Exactly. Like, paying your taxes is a mandate. We have to do it. Mm-hmm. So, like, I personally think there should always be a free or inexpensive option to do said thing. Some of these applications, when you get on them, I know TurboTax, they charge you for every extra form you have to file. So if you have a simple 1040, it's free. If you have to add in childcare, you may have to pay $10, $15 extra dollars. If you have to add in a business, you may have to pay $70 extra dollars. So they get you with the more things you have to add on. When you come to me, it's all rolled into one thing. So, like, you know, there's a plus and minus on it. If you can get away with getting it for free, I always tell people, I'm not trying to make a buck off of you. I'm trying to help you. Mm-hmm. That's my goal. If I can't help you, I will literally say, hey, look, I would much rather you go and do that for free than use me if there's no benefit that I'm going to offer to you, you know, because there are 10 other people that I could be out there helping as opposed to just trying to get $1 out of this one person over here.
I told you he was educated. He said 1040. I got to Google what 1040 means after this. Only 1040 I know is my credit score.
Stop.
You know what I'm saying?
1040 is your standard tax filing. It's literally the tax filing that you have if you just have a W-2 and you don't have any assets and you don't have anything extra. It's just straightforward.
Hey, I went to Texas State. He went to UT. So, you know, there's
levels
to it.
Stop it.
But with that said, talking about how we have to do taxes, whether it's through a company that we pay for or a free service, I would like to know, where do our tax dollars go?
That's a good question. A lot of people feel a sense of anxiety when they hear the word taxes. Taxes are a good thing. We pay taxes on everything we purchase. We pay taxes on pretty much everything we do. Our federal taxes are used to support the government, to support our country. They provide goods and services and benefits across the board.
The social programs.
Exactly. Even stuff down to just like how our country runs. You know, it pays our politicians. You know, you take that as it is.
I'm paying.
You take that as it is.
I'm paying Ted Cruz.
It is what it is. Hey,
okay.
You also paying Uncle.
I'm paying all y'all.
What's his name? Oh my goodness.
The man who doesn't stand up for anything.
Stop it. Come on, man.
Somebody said it.
Don't hit him below the belt. He already got hit there, bro. Anyway.
By the way, his story is crazy. If you don't know, the man who made millions.
Wikipedia that one.
Off of that. You know, he put in legislation so that nobody else can make millions future. Yeah. Hey, smart man, though. You can't hate the player.
Check that one out. Anyway,
can't hate the player.
The biggest 3 programs that our tax dollars go to: health programs, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Now, when it comes down to state taxes, Texas doesn't take a state tax, but a lot of other states do, especially like California has one of the highest. California and New York have some of the highest. Those taxes go to road construction, parks, police and corrections, stuff like that, maintaining the county and stuff like that. So taxes are a good thing, but everybody wants to figure out how they can mitigate their tax burden. So that's one of the things that I do is, like, as a tax professional, I try to make sure that you're not overpaying, that you're paying your right amount. Yeah. Especially because what happens is, as you start owning more things, as you start acquiring more things, taxes are associated to these things, and there are certain ways that you can structure businesses and assets to make you pay the least amount of taxes, which we're about to get into when we talk about the rich people.
And with that said, I want to go to a topic we all want some answers to. Okay, it is, why do rich people or those who make a higher annual amount, why do they pay less in taxes than those who are in lower income families or who don't make as much?
Yeah. So this is one of those statements or like ideas that is, it's subjective, okay? Let me ask you, what do you consider rich?
I consider rich someone after taxes making $175,000.
$175,000.
After taxes, because realistically that's
Yeah.
around 225.
Okay. I can tell you grew up in a very urban place. I like it. I like it. My man's level of rich is, he like, I just need a little bit to feel.
He said I'm popo.
Hey,
He
but
said,
that's the
but
majority
look,
of people.
I'm Hawaiian punch. I'm
Look.
Hawaiian punch. Like, we grew up, I'm not gonna lie, we grew up in a cul-de-sac in a suburb right beside the hood, but we was the brokest family in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
But we was okay because we wasn't near the danger. My
Yeah.
mom was smart enough to say, if we're gonna be poor, we're gonna be poor in a nice place.
And I feel
You know
that.
what I'm saying? You don't be rich in the hood.
Yeah, because I tell people all the time, I was hood adjacent. Like, I grew up similar to you, close to the hood, but not in the hood.
Hood adjacent.
Hood adjacent. We was right there.
Like, when you was on the same bus where you could get off at their stop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like, literally right across the road was like the projects. I was on the side. So like my high school, I was on the side with that, and then like back off in the cut, like it was like the old neighborhood. Like, my dad bought one of the first houses in that area back in the 70s. But like, it wasn't like, so Tyler is segregated into like North Tyler, which is the black side, and South Tyler, which is the white side. I was in North Tyler, but we weren't in like North.
Yeah.
There's
North,
a difference.
North
North.
side.
No.
So I grew up in T.I. neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you grew up in Nunu neighborhood.
That's a good. I like that.
Give me that cherry.
What? Okay. You said 100 and.
I said 175,000 after taxes.
Okay. Let's break down some numbers real quick. So, in 2021, the average American said what they felt they needed to feel wealthy or rich was $500,000. That's what they needed to bring home. 500,000. That's what they needed to feel like they were rich. That's still 8 times higher than the median income of right around $57,000. The average family brings home $57,000.
Okay, I said I'm in 175,000, just me.
I feel that. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm frugal.
I feel that. Like, because to me, when I think about it, like, the amount of money that I need to feel comfortable, like, pales in comparison to what most people are like, this is what I need. The average person in 2023 feels like they need $800,000 a year to feel comfortable, which is wild to me because, like, when you really think about it, you're like, all right, cool. If I made $800,000 a year, I would not, like, money or like financial struggles would not be an issue.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't think about swiping.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about taking a trip. I wouldn't think about buying a large purchase of $10,000 or $20,000 because you're just like, all right, that's cool. Like, we gonna recoup that money. So like, the idea is different. So, but numbers wise, when people talk about the rich and then they get into the idea of paying taxes, we're talking about the super rich. We're talking about people who make more than $10 million.
The people who pay Shaq.
Exactly. So or Shaq included, because if you make $10 million, more than $10 million a year, you probably have liquid assets of at least $1 million.
100%.
So that's really what the parameter of being rich is when you have a liquid assets of more than $1 million.
And real quick, to me, liquid assets is going to be cash. It's going to be not necessarily stocks, but real estate, something that I can get my hands on very quickly.
Correct. Like, that is what they mean by liquid. So, you know, when you look at it, it's tough to say, like, oh, are the rich paying more taxes because in your reference, a person making $200,000 is paying about the same amount of taxes as me and you are. A person who's making $500,000 is still paying about the same amount of taxes that we are because of the tax bracket breakdown. It's not until people get into those $10 millions of assets that they get into a place where they're not paying taxes on certain things. There's a term that I want you to remember. It's called unrealized capital gains.
Tell them real quick, what is that?
Unrealized capital gains. The idea of people paying less becomes complicated because of this concept right here. This is how people negate paying taxes on things that have unrealized capital gains because they aren't taxed until they're sold. So, an example, I have $5 million in stocks. I don't ever pay taxes on that money until I cash that money out and put that money in my pocket. So if that stock grows from 5 million to 10 million to 20 million, that money is not getting taxed there. And what I can do with $20 million in stocks is I can take a loan out against that money because I'm like, hey, look, I got assets. I got 20 million.
You see, I got it.
Let me get 5 million from you in a loan that I don't have to pay taxes on. Let me use that money, and then I pay myself back on top of that when I make some money. I take 5 million, I buy a home, I invest it, do whatever, and then I put that money back, and I'm like, oh, I got to pay the loan back first, and then the rest is mine. It negates how much you actually are spending and how much you're actually making, so you end up paying less taxes. That is the concept of the rich pay less taxes because they, again, like we were talking about, they have structured their setup in such a way that like the money is there, but it's never like coming out in the way that you have to pay taxes on.
Dom Kennedy, OPM, other people's money.
Exactly. There's a thing that when you talk about when you start talking about generational wealth, some of the biggest families in the world, the Rockefellers and all those, the Fords and all those big name people, they structure their assets for generational wealth. They structure trust and they structure other types of financial routes that they can take so that as things are passed down, you don't have to pay taxes on it as it changes hands. Because a lot of times when you inherit something, you're like, oh, you got to pay a tax on that. But if it's a trust that is held over this family's group and is passed down from like trust leader to trust leader, then it just stays there and you can borrow money against it and this, that, the other thing. That is
next level.
That's next level.
Yes,
and that's the stuff that as brown people I want us to like delve into and learn and start doing. Like, I don't have any desires to like have children. I don't have any desire to like keep a legacy and keep the Kirkland name running long. But like, I do have a business and I do have assets and I do have things that like I don't want to see just like fall into the ethers. So like the way that I structure my stuff is that like at some point some family member or some person that I have connected myself with down the road will be able to like inherit these things because I'm not gonna be here forever, So like that's the thing is like, and just trying not to fall into like business practices that are not the best way long term. Mm-hmm. Like it's like everybody thinks about prime example, the guy who did the voice in The Lion King for Simba. I forget his name. He's an actor.
James Earl Jones?
No, for Simba, not what was Mufasa. I forget his name. He was
definitely not Mufasa.
Yeah, but his mother told him when he took the role of Simba, don't take the check. Don't take the check. He was offered like I think like 200,000 just to get paid. She was like, don't take the check. Take the royalties from the movie. Get a percentage. Because with a percentage of royalties, you will be paid forever. He gets paid every time that movie does anything. Every time Disney on Ice does something, anytime somebody buys a DVD of Lion King, anytime Lion King is played on Spotify, anytime he gets a percentage of that check. So he continues to make money 30 years after that movie came out.
And that is why it's very important that we have something like Business Music Finance to where we can get the game from people like Alan who have the ability to educate our inner city youth. And that gentleman's name was James Wheeler.
James Wheeler.
That's all the info I'm going to let you get from today. But if anybody wants to contact you, what's the best way for them to reach out to the tax professional, Alan Kirkland?
We have our website. It's aataxservices.net.
I'm going to have it somewhere around here.
Yeah, or you can hit us on our email. It's info@aataxservices.net as well.
Got it.
So,
Alan, thank you so much for giving us the game on taxes. Now, I want to turn to music real quick. You are a DJ, correct?
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
Whew, man. Honestly and truly, I had tossed the idea of becoming a DJ early on. Like one of my really good friends in college is a DJ. Shout out DJ Bananas. He's out in Houston. He owns a spot called A Local Seed. If you're ever out there, check it out. He still spins at his spot. He's a rap R&B DJ who cut his teeth here in Austin. He played at all the hot spots, all the parties, all the frat parties, everything. And I just enjoyed, I've always loved music, but I enjoyed how the DJ takes you on a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just playing songs. He would take us on a ride. We would start out, we get there early on. You play some of the bangers, a little something, get everybody turned up. And then as things peak, you play the hottest of the hot. You play everything that everybody's listening to. But the way you mix it in a way that, like, it keeps everybody flowing. Oh, that's the one. Oh, that's the one next. Oh, that's the jam. And then you hit them with the dance music. This is huge in Texas culture. Dance music is huge. So, like, we're going to get out there. We're going to do a little step. We're going to do a little jig. We're going to Soulja Boy with them. We're going to lean with it, rock with it.
Yeah.
And then about 1:30.
Yeah.
1:30 comes around. You know what time it is. Everybody been liquored up. They've been having a good time. You done seen a girl across the way.
No.
Hey, you done seen something. It's time. Hey, it's time to groove.
Bring the
on.
moves out.
It's
Bring the
time to
moves
groove.
out.
And in the last 15 to 20 minutes of the night, that's when things start to go awry. It's time to put on some sexy vibes, get everybody a little turned on and turned out, because it's time to get them out. So you get people turned on, they find a piece on, and it's time to get them out of there. And that's when babies start getting made.
Yep.
So that was one of my, like, core like college memories of just, like, being out and being about. And I loved it, but I watched him DJ R&B and rap music. And I thought the task is very difficult. My heart goes out to all R&B. Like, you have to deal with beat matching, but you also have to deal with, like, finding the right spot for the lyric and then, like, bringing it in at the right time. It's an art.
Cadence, yeah.
It's an art.
100%.
I am really big into EDM music, which is like the electronic dance music.
Let's get it.
And I like to rave, and so, like, in my last relationship, me and my ex were big ravers. We like to go to underground spots. We like to go to concerts. Lord. And that was something that we did together. And one of the things that we used to talk about, I was like, man, you know what? Like, I think I really want to give it a try. I want to see if I can, mix and DJ and, like, see if that's the thing. Like, as a hobby, I don't have any desire to, like, become the next big thing. If it did happen, cool. But, like, I'm just getting my feet wet. I'm really trying it out and having a good time with it. And fortunately for me, I met the right people. I met some cool people. They gave me some chances. I got a chance to, like, DJ at some clubs and some events, and that kind of got my teeth wet. I've really been just, like, learning as much as I can. Like, before I came over here, I was doing some stuff in the studio, and, like, at the beginning of this next year, I'm going to start actually, like, producing music. I have a rapper friend of mine from my hometown. He was like, I got some stuff, and I really don't know what to do with it. Like, in my genre, I feel like it could be good over, like, an EDM beat. So I'm going to play around with that and just see where it takes me. Making music is hard. I have a lot of friends who make music. It is very difficult.
It's a very artistic industry.
Exactly. And I have a very analytical brain. where like I have a creative side, but my analytical portion takes over the creative side. So like I feel like that's gonna be my biggest challenge. But I think with that being said, like I have a good understanding of like what sounds good and what doesn't. That's one of the reasons I got into DJing too. Like I would always get on the aux and people would be like, "Man, you know how to play the right music for the right crowd." You know,
and at the right time.
And at the right time, because when you're in a group, a mixed company group, you can't play. Well, I can't just play what me and you want to hear. Like there may be someone in this group who's 50 or 60 years old, and us playing some, you know, R&B or rap may not cater to them. But I could play some like smooth R&B or some Afro beats that has like a chiller beat that they may be like, you know what, this isn't so off-putting, because music, certain types of music are not for everybody. Like you may or may not be into country music, but I may have something in my bag where you'd be like, you know what, I don't usually like country music, but I like this. And that's always my goal, is like play something for somebody who doesn't necessarily like a certain genre and put them onto it where they may now say, oh, okay, this wasn't bad, you know.
I prefer tequila, but I'm all right with a little Tennessee whiskey. You know what I mean?
Exactly, you know?
So,
and we in Texas, so you know you gonna have to learn.
oh yeah, you in Texas? It ain't just that's how swag. You gotta throw a little bit of
do a scoot and boogie in there. You know,
blue ain't your color. What? Hey, but speaking of music,
yeah.
I want you to give us right now 3 songs that you feel like people should listen to sooner than later.
Okay. I've gotten really big into funk music.
Don't matter the genre.
Okay. I've gotten really big into funk music as I started DJing. Funk music to me is like the catch-all music genre.
Catch-all.
You can play funk music and 90% of the people who are in the room are gonna like be like, you know what, this isn't off-putting to listen to. It doesn't matter if you like hip-hop, it doesn't matter if you like country, it doesn't matter if you like T Swift, whatever. You can put some funk on and people are like, okay, this has a good beat, I'm down. One of the songs that I tell people that they should check out is called Dopamine. It is by a group called Frank Moody. And it's just a good, upbeat, lively jam. You know, it's family friendly. You can play it in front of mom. You can play it in front of grandma. You know, as I get older, those are things that are important to me, because if my mom's in my car, my mom is very Christian. My mom does not want to hear any hard beats or any rap music. So I got to play stuff.
She want to hear that melodies
Yeah,
of
you know,
heaven.
and it's funny because my mom loves country music. So I'm like, I don't want to just be putting on the country all the time. So funk music is a good spot for me. That's my
Frank Moody Dopamine.
Frank Moody Dopamine. That's my for everybody. For my EDM heads out there, and people who like a little bit of like rocky vibes, you know, there's a group called Bob Moses. I just saw them at ACL. Their song Afterlife is one of the reasons I started DJing. I'm sorry, not Afterlife, Afterglow. It is like when I hear that song, it literally gets me into the mode of like, I just want to like literally vibe out. I let my buddy listen to it when we saw them, and he was like, I can understand why you wanted to become a DJ after listening to this. So Afterglow by Bob Moses is at the top of my spot. And then, you know, we gotta take it to the extreme, because I'm a very extreme person. NLE Choppa and Sexy Red have a song out. You might know where I'm going with this one. Slut Me Out. Oh, baby.
Hey, you know, I was listening to the other day, System of a Down, Chop Suey, and he said, "You wanted to,
Bro,
you wanted to,
you wanted to,
you wanted
bro.
to."
That song right there, that is not safe for work. That is not safe for the children.
NFSW.
Hey, bro. Hey, don't turn unless you have been sipping the Henny or you with your significant other. That probably song stays in those 2 modes right there. But also, I love it.
And if it's your ringtone, Turn off your,
Turn off.
when you're in church. You do not want that.
That's the one you do not
And the
want
Lord
going on
said,
in
"Slow
church.
me up."
Hey,
What?
hey, goodness gracious. The lyrics in that song, goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, those are my three.
Written with the best pen in the world.
Bro, look, I was like, I couldn't have formed that.
Hey.
But I'm glad they did. I'm glad somebody
Shout out
did.
Emily Chopper, Sexy Red. Shout out Bob,
By Moses,
and shout out
Frank Moody.
Frank Moody.
Yeah.
All right, so last but not least, the finance segment. I had talked about the top 5 states that I believe someone should go to or move to if they want to be able to get the bag, have the best ability to win. I went to high school in North Carolina, and there's 3 times as many people in Texas as in North Carolina. So I just felt like, from an analytical perspective, you've got 3 times the chance to make it, to be able to get more money in Texas than North Carolina. But of course, there are different things to think about, like versus if you work in the medical field, North Carolina's probably gonna be a much better place than if you didn't work in the healthcare industry, being in Texas. So with that said, you kind of had some pushback, so I'm gonna let you talk about what are your 5 states that you feel like people should be able to go to, not necessarily to get more money, but you feel like are your top 5.
Gotcha. I know we talked about this for a minute, and I the funny part about it is when we had this conversation the first time, my thought was just like best states, like what the best states were. So when you said yours, I was just like, After I did some research, after I looked at it, I was like, okay, I'll give you some of your choices. Because what were yours again?
I said Texas, Florida, because there's no state income tax, New York, California, tech and big banks.
Yeah.
And then I said because of the proximity, Georgia. Georgia's closer to Florida and to New York than Illinois.
Okay. So when I looked at this, I wanted to say, where can I get the best bang for my buck? Texas is definitely high up there. Texas is number 2 on my list. Tennessee is actually the best place to move if you are making around $100,000 and you want that $100,000 to stretch as far as property, as far as cost of living, and as far as proximity to being able to travel to other places.
Isn't that where the Ku Klux Klan's from?
I did a few different categories. I'm
just joking.
No, but
I love Snapple.
He's true. He is correct because that's one of the problems. Southern states are some of the best to live in when it comes to cost of living. Your more southern states are always going to be lower property value, lower cost of living, gas is going to be cheaper, all that jazz. With that being said, they're not necessarily the best place for us brown people. So, Texas is definitely number 2, also a southern state. Oklahoma is actually really good. There's just not a whole lot in Oklahoma.
Shout out to all my Indians in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Missouri also is
the Mizzou.
Yeah,
exactly. The
so,
Rizzle, the Jizzle, the Mizzou.
All places where you can stretch your dollar the longest. But I took it a step further. I went to a few other spots and I looked at some other states. If you're looking for a job, if you are in the job market, Massachusetts is really good. They have a lot of places hiring and willing to hire. Rhode Island is.
I'm sorry. Without a college degree, with
or without.
Okay.
With or without, they have the most hiring capacity right now, and because there are a lot of colleges up there, like a ridiculous amount, especially in the New England area, they offer a lot of places where people who don't have to have an education could be employed. Because they have a lot of staffing that they need. Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maryland were also on that list. If you're trying to raise a child, best place also, again, Massachusetts. Because of the education system, because of the social programs, these are going to be more of your blue states, places to move to raise a child because they have better social programs. So places like Massachusetts, New York, and surprisingly, North Dakota. Surprise! Look, I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you what it said.
North Dakota. Sorry, that's Minnesota. That's a Minnesota
Yeah.
accent.
This is probably where my favorite lies because I like to be outside. I want to be doing stuff. I want the weather to be nice. These are your best places for the weather. Number one, obviously, California. California's got the best weather.
California's
got the best weather. They have the beach. Hawaii, Florida, Texas is on that list too because you get them a very high number of sunny days. Even though some of those sunny days do get over 100 degrees and you want to melt your brains out.
And if your AC ain't working in a whip.
Yeah. It's real tough. 3 of those, in Arizona. Arizona's also up there because of...
I've heard Scottsdale's beautiful.
Yeah, Scottsdale's very, very nice. It does get hot, especially because it's in the desert, but a lot of people don't seem to have an issue with the really, really hot.
I heard it snows in Scottsdale.
It does. You get the best of both worlds in Arizona. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, and then Hawaii is up there too. But Hawaii is ridiculously expensive. So you gotta
have some money.
You gotta have a little money to go there.
Can't be slutting out in Hawaii.
No, and then the last one, but definitely not least, the place that has the most diversity. Places with the most diversity. Definitely not Texas. Although people like to think Texas has a lot of diversity.
Texas has diversity, man.
Texas has diversity in the 4 major cities. And all of the other...
What are the 4 major cities?
Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. Those are the 4 major cities in Texas.
You're missing one.
What?
San Marcos. Eat 'em up.
Hey, when you get home, I want you to Google the demographic of San Marcos for me.
90% alcohol, 10% students.
Fair enough. But the problem with Texas is that people don't think Texas is such a big place. For those 4, the rest of Texas makes up a large predominant non-brown community.
Yeah.
And that's just the facts of it.
And
There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the facts of it.
I just want to say real quick, thank you, because when people say you're black, I'm like, no, if you look at my shirt, I'm black. But if you look at my skin, you look at a Crayola box, I'm brown. And I think a long time ago, it was like Jimmy and Timmy, right? And it was like they were looking at somebody like, black. You know, and it's like they weren't very educated enough. So
I try not to use the word black because I feel like black is a very exclusive word.
Yeah.
Black usually just refers to African American. And when I think of diversity, I just think of anybody who is not from the Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, when I think of black, I think of the actual color. What does it mean? Dark. You're in a dark place. It's black. It's pitch black, you know? So for me, it's like there's kind of a negative connotation around the word black. And I can't use the word African American because I don't know where I'm from in Africa.
Me too.
I just know my ancestors took a trip they might have not necessarily wanted to take, and now I'm here. Yeah.
And it's funny because I used to have this conversation with my boy, and he would always roast me every single time. My grandmother's lineage, what she has traced back to her grandparents, her grandfather was full-blooded Mexican, and her grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee. So, like, from that lineage, there's no African on that side. Like, there is at some point, but there's no, like, hardcore definitive, this person came from here. Like, I have a bunch of buddies. My buddy's mom is from Ghana. His dad's from Nigeria. I have another homeboy. Both his parents are from Jamaica. I have another homeboy. Both his parents are from Cameroon. Like, they know specifically where they came from in Africa. Yeah. When you get down to the, like, African American and, like, 3rd, 4th generation, it gets very, like, diluted. Even when my aunt did our, like, family lineage all the way back out to, like, Willie Black, shout out Willie Black from the 1800s. We don't know where he came from. Yeah. He was just here. Yeah. He was just here. So, like, that is kind of how that goes. And, you know, it is what it is. Not to say that we're not African Americans. I mean, obviously, but, like, I just don't know where that lineage, you know, comes from.
You're Blindian. You're black and Indian.
Yeah, and it sucks because, you know, they give you a check if you can prove you're Native American.
Not if you black though.
It's tough because you have to be a certain percentage. Like I knew this girl in high school, and I mean, at the time they were paying her like a check of $5,000 a month, just because she was an Indian.
Because of the atrocities that had happened to her people.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm trying to catch a check.
Where my 40 acres and a mule. Hey,
I just want to go live on a reservation in the casino, man.
You just give me a buy-in at 2.5, I'll be good.
I'll buy in a month. I'm good, baby. Let's go. But yeah, man. That's kind of how I feel about it. As far as like diversity, when you look at places like California, when you look at places like Massachusetts, I went to Boston last week, and like the idea that Boston is a very racist and like white place. Walking through Boston, you're gonna see a lot of fair-skinned people.
It's racist everywhere.
But that's not what I'm gonna say. You're gonna see a lot of fair-skinned people, and I don't know that language. That language doesn't sound like any European language I've heard of. You end up seeing a lot of diversity in the way that you're not normally like thinking of it. When you go to San Diego, down by the border, you see a lot of people who look white, and they all speak Spanish, and they're not like they're Mexicans, but they're not like the Mexicans from Texas, because Mexicans from Texas are more brown, and you can kind of tell like, oh, that's Mexican. Whereas you see this person, you're like, oh, that looks like a white person or a European, but they're Mexican, you know? So, like, that kind of diversity is a little different. I mean, New York is the melting pot of the world where you just have any and everybody, like, you know? So that kind of goes into, like, when we talk about, like, the best places to live. If we're just talking about strictly from a financial thing, like, that's one thing. But for me, when I think about the place that I want to be every day, I think you kind of have to, like, layer some of those other things in there as far as quality of life, you know? Because at the end of the day, you can make money in a place and not be happy.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah. I don't think I would ever want to live there.
But I do love the 49ers. Not against the Eagles, but I do love the 49ers.
Don't think I love them either.
Hey, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. We've had Alan on here for close to an hour. I want to appreciate him for coming in. But last but not least, Alan, this camera is yours. Is there anything you want to tell the people, or is there any way people can get in touch with you if they want to schedule you for a DJing gig?
Oh, baby. You can hit me up on Instagram, DJ at DJAK. That is AYKAYE. I stylized it like that because my initials were just boring as AK, so I wanted to make it fun. But yeah, or if you just want some music recommendations, hit me up. I love sending people, hey, take a listen to this song.
Ladies, he's single. He's over 6 foot.
I don't want no part of that.
He came in here right now looking like he is part of the Nation of Prada. Hey, my dog, I appreciate everything. Until then, if you guys have any questions, any tax questions, please send them over. I will try to get a response. We'll see you very soon. We'll see you very soon. And once again, those top 3 songs I'm going to have right here. Go check them out. Until then, this is the show that gives you the game you need to know. I want your money to last. I want you to grow it as tall as a giraffe. See you later. Ship it.